Yes, you're still watching the family show today with John and Helen live. If you're just joining us, we've been having a great time on the show. First, we had Charles Emmanuel talk to us about social media and national orientation, and we also looked at how to revive the culture of classical music with Ayo Jafojo, CEO, Musical Society of Nigeria, MUSO.
Okay, and right now we move on to women's matters. Yes, it's the period conversation, very popular, going all over the country, all over the world at this moment with our next guest.
Yes, and Nikadi Funke Treasure is a sought after media trainer, conference facilitator, moderator, speaker, multi analyst, and more. A multi award winner, multi genre media practitioner, and social entrepreneur, quite a mouthful. An author, award winning campaigner, and advocate for women and the girl child, convener of Sanitary Pad Media Campaign and the Funke Treasure Table Tennis Championship for Girls. She is currently Executive Director, Illuminate Nigeria Development Network, and lead consultant and creative director at Yellow Bloom Consulting. No doubt, Funke, you've been very busy. Welcome to the show.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Good to have you with us
Thank
today.
you.
So much on your plate. Welcome to the show, Funke, and
Thank
welcome
you,
back
Helen.
home.
Yes,
Plus
yes,
TV
yes.
Africa is home for you.
It is.
All right.
Indeed.
Okay, so we're talking something that is more ours, more relatable to the women folk. John, what are we doing with you at this point? Should we
You want to check me out the studio?
I'll tell you what
Okay.
we should be doing with it, actually.
Okay, so let's start from the basic. What's menstrual health management, and why is it important for
It is
women's health?
important. It is important not just for women, but for the family, for a lot of our men who are the caregivers when women run into challenges because of the very fact that they menstruate. So that's why this year you have the International Women's Day theme inclusion. And so that's to answer your question that it's not just for women, it's for everyone. I remember when my mom ran into this challenge with fibroid, and it's the same hormone that make you menstruate that fibroids feed on. Yes. So it wasn't just her anymore. It was all of us caring for her. It was my father being there for her. A friend just published a book on fighting fibroids. And she's one of our campaign advocates. And she spoke about how she had to do a hysterectomy, not a mammectomy now, because that's the temporary one. The hysterectomy is that you remove the entire womb so that you don't continue to fight that fibroid. So it's the same thing when you talk about endometriosis, where you have these complicated, painful menstruation that you're yelling all over the place. It's really quite painful, and menstruation is not coming from the right places. So it's very important that we have period conversations, because it has to do with all of us, whether in the workplace or even within the family, in the society, churches, mosques. It's a conversation we should be having on many fronts.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a conversation that we should be having. But you see, so far, a lot of it seems to be shrouded in mystery and secrecy. How do we break this maybe stigma around menstruation and now encourage open conversation about periods? She was going to check me out of the studio a minute ago.
Thank you. So this is why our focus, again, in part, is normalizing the period conversation. As you said, there's a lot of whisperings, there's a lot of secrecies. Once you start to have your menstruation, our mothers will tell you, now, you cannot be
Kissed.
You said so. You cannot, you have to regulate the way you relate with men. That's not the first thing to say. The first thing is to make me understand what is happening. Why am I menstruating? Why is John not menstruating? Why is it me? Why do I have to deal with this every month for the rest of my life, from 13 years old, from 9 years old? So our mothers used to see this as a secret thing. You never see what they do. You don't know this, which is why we're saying normalize the period conversation. Let's have it in the open. What does it mean to menstruate? Why is for our girls, in our teenagers in secondary schools, and some of them in primary schools also menstruate? The question is, how do you even maintain menstruation? How do you, count the days before it comes so that you don't get stigmatized, as you said, or shamed for it? A lot of girls are shamed for it because some start menstruating in school.
Too early,
so they suddenly find blood on themselves. And then, what happened? I did not fight anybody. Like, we've been interacting with them and their stories are so fascinating. So from the shame and the stigma, we need to deal with that as well. Some don't get stained out of their own volition. If you have fibroid, you're bleeding heavily. You're probably using double pads at the same time. You're changing your pads like 8 times a day. A friend said to me, the lady who wrote the book Fighting Fibroid, said she was using almost 4 packs of sanitary pads. For one, so it's very, very serious. Or that that we also need to teach these girls wash strategy, water, sanitation, hygiene. Where are they going to get water? In school. Many schools don't have water. Many schools don't have changing spaces or toilets. And when they have, it's a horrible space to go. So you find these girls changing by the bush side. They're forming a ring around themselves, and the one menstruating is in the middle.
Wow.
They're trying, they form a human barrier. And then she changes. This is not menstruating in dignity, so we also talk about period dignity. We talk about menstrual equity.
Wow.
Menstrual equity, because I'm menstruating, you're not menstruating. We want to include you, but you also need to understand that I am who I am because of who I am. Menstrual equity also says, you see, you can't deal with me who has a normal flow with someone who has fibroid or who has endometriosis.
And really, men have to understand what is going on, because menstruation actually has, as the first 3 letters, men.
I knew you were going to go there.
Precisely. And if we don't menstruate, what's the point? We're not going to reproduce mankind. Mankind cannot increase without us menstruating. And I like the fact that you pointed that out, because, I mean, for someone menstruating, you need a man to make babies. Whether it's a donor or is a real human somebody, you need a man to
I'm happy that you're accepting the importance of men in the scheme of things now.
Certainly. Yes. Men are important, and when women begin to have these issues, you're the ones running here and
we are the ones
for surgery. You're the one running here and there for what will I do? Can you get
Thanks for appreciating us.
Can you get leave at work? And that's how we begin to talk of menstrual leave.
Men, everything starts with men.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, now let's get a little more serious about this.
We're going through this, and I'm thinking, why is Funke involved in this in the first place? And where must this open conversation start? What must the mothers know? Who should be the first point of information for the young girl who is about to start menstruation? Plenty questions, have you?
I'll take it one after the other. I'll take the ones I remember. I'll take the why is Funke in this, and then what should our mothers know? Those 2 questions I'll take. I'll start with what should our mothers know, in case I don't want to forget that. So we have some of the people who've shown interest in what we're doing. She'd just done a doctorate, and what she did was mother-daughter communication in the adoption of menstrual pads. And why it's a very interesting research that she's done. And she did it in Lagos State, looked at the urban and peri-urban areas. Peri-urban is semi-urban areas, the register in academics. So she looked at what are the factors inhibiting girls from talking with their mothers, what is wrong with our mothers even having this simple conversation with their daughters, because a lot of them have inhibitions as well. And how well do we have these conversations between mothers and daughters. A lot of some of the girls that we've spoken with in the course of this campaign tell us that my mom just said she didn't tell me anything to do, she just gave me this. There's a girl who came third in our essay competition. She's in Akwa Ibom State, and she said to her entry was that she started menstruating, and her mother said, okay, so this is what you start using now. She said, okay. So she kept using and kept using for a month. She was still using it.
And
she was still using. So the mother said,
and the period had stopped.
How about you finish using?
So the mother said, what's wrong? This thing is finished. So what's going on here? She said,
but you asked me to keep using.
That she thought that once you start, you just keep using forever.
Oh.
So you see the gap in mother-daughter communication. So there are others who just tell you, now that you started menstruating, you're now a woman. You can get pregnant. And then you need to explain to me, it's a 3-day flow, it's a 5-day flow for some. You can use this. Some of them introduce their children to wrappers. Because we've gone to school sometimes and they tell us, we give them questionnaires and they tell us, oh, well, what other things do you need? Because we ask them, let's not just take for granted that this, what we've brought is what they need. You see them write that they need cloth.
Wow.
That's how we got to know that quite a number of them are using wrappers or cloth, white cloth, some of them wrote. So which was why we then we introduced reusable pads so that they can wash it. It's better than cloth. In case the disposable we took to them ran out, then they could start using reusable, much more better than cloth that they've used. And we saw that some of them also wrote that they do not have underwears. So, and that's why we introduced that also into the packs that we take to school. So it's a very important one for our mothers to forget the inhibitions. This is the 21st century. You should be able to have some sort of bonding with your daughter. You should be able to explain to her beyond getting pregnant. Some of these girls don't even see their menses after a while. It comes and then it disappears. And they don't tell their mothers. We get to the field and they tell us, how long is, they're responding to the questionnaires and they say, but I don't see, sometimes I don't see for 3 months and then it comes again. They're saying that to us. And we see that, look, there is a need for us to engage their mothers as well, And then the issue of pads, cloth, reusable, the mothers are not telling them the truth. Some mothers, so it's very important.
I would even want a little more clarity on that. You've talked about cloth and all this. What are the different menstrual products available, and how do they work?
Okay, so we have menstrual cups. They're silicone made. They look like funnels. So it's folded and inserted into the woman, and it's so environmentally friendly. We had an event at Ajegunle sometime to introduce some of these alternatives to the women there. So menstrual cups is the thing that we should really be looking at, because then you can do that with minimal water. What you have to do when it's full, and then you bring it out, you pour it away. It's relatively affordable at the end of the day, because you keep using it. You don't have to wash. You just rinse. You rinse properly with some, what is it called?
Hygiene.
Antiseptic.
Hygiene aspect of it, because you are coming to come into.
Which was why I said minimal water. Is not as much water as you will need for the reusable, because the reusable, you use it again. For the ones we give to the girls, there are 4 in the pack. So you use one, you wash and dry, you still have 3.
Okay.
You use that. If that one is not yet dry, you still have 2. Okay. And when you dry, they're not something you should be ashamed of, because if you don't know what it is, you don't know what it is. You just see it on the line. It's even looking like diapers in a way, and they're fanciful. So they're much better than the cloth. And then we have tampons. I've had a guest on a program, and she said to me that when she has this endometriosis pains, she feels better when she uses tampons. Tampons are just, they're like syringes, for want of another way to, that's that kind of size, and you just insert as well, and it just absorbs.
Yeah.
And
Expands.
expands when it's, yes. And then there's a string with which you pull it out. It's very safe. But then there are myths and misconceptions around these other alternatives. Our mothers, some of our fathers think that the menstrual cup or the tampons will disvirgin their children. No, it won't, because there are two different channels. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. All right. Perhaps why Funke is in this is not very important. So let me.
It is important. I just want to let me come back to why I'm in it. I mean, I pulled out from Radio Nigeria as an assistant director, and people are wondering, oh, we thought she was going to just dive in international somebody. Maybe she will go and do this. But when I was general manager Radio 1, I went for an event at the University of Lagos, and I met this young woman who came to speak about pads and menstruation. She was so very convincing. She had this such persuasion and such passion. So I invited her over to the
radio station.
To the radio station to come talk to us on International Women's Day. She came and she said, and why is she? I was engaging with this lady. I said to myself, this is quite important. So when I was pulling out of Radio Nigeria, I said to myself, I'm going to devote some time to this. And that's how Sanitary Pad Media campaign was birthed in 2020. Incidentally, my first campaign was here on PlusTvAfrica on The Advocates.
Okay.
In 2019 December, I made the first campaign, publicly here. And then as I moved on and grew in the campaign, I was also here on The Advocate to talk about those who have joined us.
It's welcome home.
So yeah, it's welcome home. We have about 100 women and men who are our campaign advocates to help us push this idea of
menstrual
more focus on menstrual.
Make that 101.
Oh, thank you. We won 1 month.
All right, before John takes over, how is corporate Nigeria embracing this?
Oh yes, we've had.
Because it's not glamorous.
No, it's not. And for someone who is seen to be glamorous, people don't understand, why is she here?
Yeah.
Why not elsewhere? Because I feel a connection to it, to answer your question. And I really, really feel that this is what I ought to be doing, apart from training and other things. So yes, corporate Nigeria, we had a company that donated reusable pads to us. They've given us 2,000 out of the 10,000 they promised. We also have a company like MacArthur Foundation, who also supported us with our drama, radio drama for this purpose as well.
Great.
It's aired on different stations. We've had people here and there giving us tokens to power our PAT scholarship to secondary school girls. So we have like 5 initiatives under the campaign. We have the radio drama, we have the PAT scholarship for school girls. We stay with them for a month, which is quite different from just going to school, spreading 1,000 and next month they can't access it again. So we stay with each girl that we pull into the PAT scholarship for a year. Then we have our petitions also on change.org, so both of you can join us so that the world can better see what we're doing. We also have our podcasts. We have the audio podcast, and very soon our video podcasts will be on TV stations as well.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Wow.
All I can say is that on behalf of the boys, we want to thank you for what you're doing for our girls.
Thank you. That's how it should be. It should be all of us.
I want to thank you for what you're doing for the family.
Great.
We don't have enough time to talk about the table tennis things and there's so many other things that you're involved in.
We'll come to that some
Well
other
done.
time. We've
Thank
actually
you.
run out of time.
Well
Wow.
done.
What an eye-opener for all of us. And guess
Especially
what?
for
Even
you.
as men, we all need this information to be on the same page with the ladies. Thank you so much.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we really do appreciate having you with us
Thank
today.
you so
and we
much.
hope that
Thank
when
you.
we call you again, you'll be back home.
I
Hug
shall be
from
here.
a distance. All right, so let's take the last break on this show today. When we return, it will be John's Nuggets on speech skills and, of course, our final thoughts. John? All right.
Yep.
See you in a moment.
Thanks for staying with us. This is Today with John and Helen, and we have reached the end of the show.
Yeah.
Save for my nugget. I got you there. So my nugget for today, and like I always say, this nugget is for all of us who are engaged in public speaking, which is everybody, right? So today's nugget is this: don't talk just to hear yourself talk. Don't talk just to hear yourself talk. A lot of us always get carried away when it's time to, get on stage, and we just keep talking and talking, and we just want to hear ourselves talk. Speaking in public has to be intentional. It has to be well thought out, well planned. Whatever you say, whatever you want to achieve has to be pre-planned. So again, it emphasizes the need for us to marshal our points very well, prepare for the stage before you get there. Marshal your points. Know where your destination is. What's the purpose of what you're saying? So don't just talk to hear yourself talk.
Okay.
Okay, so that's my nugget.
So today I'm surrounded by two
Yes.
two teachers of the English language.
She left radio, but radio didn't leave her.
At all. In fact, I've been very careful so I don't mispronounce a word. Okay, it's always like, it has to be done right.
So.
All right, that's our show today. We thank you so much for being an awesome part of the conversation. Join us again, same time next week, Saturday. But before then, there's a repeat. A repeat broadcast of this same outing later tonight at 10:30, tomorrow morning 9:30, and of course 24 hours we're streaming live on Plus TV Africa. Love you. Bye for now.